Nintendo might be moving toward the future, but some of the best games on the Switch are looking firmly at the past. I'm talking about the games that don't just look old, they play with a soul the classics never had. Most of these titles aren't making the front pages. They're buried under the hype of the next big AAA release, which is a crime because these are the modern masterpieces your childhood self actually dreamed of playing. From cyborg ninjas to low-poly nightmares, I've tracked down 20 modern retro gems that deserve a permanent spot in your collection. No more waiting, let's get into the list.
Imagine if the Sega Genesis never died and just kept getting cooler and deadlier. You are a cyborg ninja who says no to its fascist creators, and the result is the most satisfying 16-bit action game on the Switch. The crunchy sound design makes every sword slash feel like it's actually hitting something, and the bosses, they're huge, screen-filling nightmares that demand perfection. It captures that Shinobi and Strider vibe perfectly without the fake difficulty of the 90s. It even has that classic CRT scanline filter that'll make you want to blow on your Switch cartridges just for the nostalgia. If you want a game that respects your skills and your love for pixel art, don't sleep on this one. We've all piloted mechs before, but have you ever used a literal Eiffel Tower to beat a monster's face in? Panzer Paladin is a genius mix of Mega Man and Blaster Master. You pilot a massive suit of armor, but here's the twist. You can eject at any time to play as the tiny pilot, Flame. The game has a weapon durability system that actually works. You're constantly shattering enemy swords and grabbing their spears. It's colorful, it's loud, and it feels like a lost NES classic that Capcom forgot to release. Plus, the soundtrack is a certified bop that'll be stuck in your head for days. It's high-octane retro goodness that every Switch owner needs. Capcom might have forgotten about Mega Man X, but the indie scene definitely didn't, and Gravity Circuit is the proof. This game is all about flow. You aren't just shooting lemons, you're a melee powerhouse named Kai using a grappling hook to swing through levels like a blue-tinted Spider-Man. The combat is incredibly fluid, letting you combo enemies into walls and then finish them with massive special moves. It's one of those rare games where the movement feels just as good as the fighting. If you're tired of waiting for Mega Man X9, this isn't just a substitute, it might actually be better. Grab this, crank the volume, and get ready for a masterpiece. Are you ready for a game that's all killer, no filler, and lasts exactly as long as a great action movie? Steel Assault is a 16-bit run-and-gun that feels like it was forged in the fires of a 90s arcade cabinet. You play as a resistance fighter with a submachine gun and an electric whip, ziplining through post-apocalyptic streets. There are no long tutorials or boring dialogue scenes here. It is pure, unadulterated chaos from start to finish. The pixel art is some of the best on the system. Seriously, the parallax scrolling will make your head spin. It's short, it's brutal, and it's meant to be mastered. If you have an hour to spare and want to feel like a god, this is your game. What happens when you take the DNA of Hollow Knight but replace the bugs with adorable rusting robots? You get Haiku the Robot. You play as a tiny little bot exploring a world where humanity is long gone and machines have taken over. It uses a gorgeous Game Boy-inspired color palette that makes the whole world feel cohesive and cozy. It's a Metroidvania that focuses on exploration and charm rather than just making you pull your hair out. The upgrades feel meaningful, and the world building is subtle but deeply effective. It's the perfect game to curl up with on a rainy Sunday afternoon. If you want a lo-fi adventure with a big heart, Haiku is waiting for you. Looking for a game that feels like a Saturday morning cartoon from 1994? Flynn, Son of Crimson is a vibrant, lush action platformer that just glows on the Switch's OLED screen. You've got elemental powers, fast combat, and the best part, a giant, fluffy, mythical dog named Dex that you can ride into battle. It feels like those late-era SNES games where developers finally mastered the hardware. The animation is silky smooth, and the world is filled with secret paths and challenging platforming. It's not a hardcore Souls-like, it's just a high-quality, polished adventure that reminds us why we fell in love with 2D games in the first place. It's a cat in a mech suit. Honestly, do you even need more than that? Gato Roboto is what we call a Meowtroidvania. It's short, it's black and white, and it's incredibly charming. You alternate between being a vulnerable kitty cat and a tank-like machine of destruction. The bosses are surprisingly tough, and the writing is genuinely funny. It's a 1-bit art style that looks crisp and modern despite the retro limitations. You can beat it in a single sitting, making it the perfect palate cleanser between 100-hour RPGs. It's cheap, it's fun, and it stars a cat. Just go buy it already. Forget everything you hate about old-school RPGs, the grinding, the random encounters, and keep only the magic. Change Echoes is a miracle. It was made by a tiny team, but it feels bigger and more epic than many AAA titles. It takes the 16-bit JRPG formula and modernizes it with a brilliant overdrive combat system that keeps you on your toes every single turn. One minute you're exploring a fantasy forest, the next you're piloting giant mechs in a war-torn kingdom. This isn't just a tribute to Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, it is a masterpiece in its own right. If you miss the golden age of JRPGs, this is the one you've been waiting for. If The Legend of Zelda and a fast-paced twin-stick shooter had a baby in a virtual world, it would be CrossCode. This game is dense, the combat is lightning fast, the puzzles are genuinely challenging, and the story, set inside a fictional MMO, is surprisingly emotional. The pixel art is some of the most detailed I've ever seen, with animations so smooth they put modern 3D games to shame. Just be prepared, the puzzles will make you work for it. It's a 60-plus hour journey that never slows down. If you want a game that pushes the boundaries of what a 2D RPG can be, CrossCode is an absolute must-play. In this game, time isn't just a mechanic. It's a death sentence for everyone you love. Unsighted is a top-down action RPG where every character has a real-time clock. When that clock hits 0, they turn into mindless monsters. You have to decide who to save and who to let die while you hunt for a cure in a ruined city. The combat is incredible, focusing on parries and precision, and the exploration feels like classic Zelda with a dark sci-fi twist. Don't worry, you can turn the timers off if they're too much, but the tension is what makes this a true hidden gem. It's heartbreaking, beautiful, and absolutely gripping. Are you the kind of player who spends 3 hours in the menu optimizing your party before even stepping into a dungeon? Crystal Project is for you. It's a non-linear, open-world JRPG that focuses entirely on a deep job system and tactical combat. It uses a unique voxel-based art style that makes exploration feel like a puzzle in itself. There are no invisible walls here. If you can see it, you can probably platform your way to it. It's all about discovery, customization, and conquering brutal boss fights. It's a player-first RPG that doesn't hold your hand, and for fans of Final Fantasy V, it is basically a dream come true. What happens when you mix a deck builder, a tactical RPG, and an old-school dungeon crawler into one giant pot? You get Gordian Quest. It's a gorgeous game with a hand-drawn look that feels like a classic tabletop session come to life. You build a party of heroes, each with their own unique decks, and fight on a grid-based battlefield. The level of customization is insane. You're constantly tweaking your deck, upgrading your gear, and choosing branching paths. It's the kind of game where you say just one more turn, and suddenly it's 3 a.m. If you love strategy and want something deeper than your average indie game, this is it.
That's why she can take it away so easily.
I'll blow your head off!
Her jacket size says 38. Special.
This game smells like diesel, leather jackets, and 80s action movies. Huntdown is a tactical run-and-gun that puts you in the boots of a bounty hunter cleaning up a cyberpunk city. The voice acting is delightfully cheesy, and the 16-bit art is incredibly detailed. It looks like a high-budget arcade game from 1992. Every boss has a unique personality and a massive ego, and taking them down feels incredible. It's fast, it's funny, and it's even better in couch co-op. If you miss Contra or RoboCop, Huntdown is a mandatory addition to your Switch library. Forget Streets of Rage for a second, this might be the deepest beat-em-up ever made. Fight and Rage was made by one person, and it's a masterclass in genre design. On the surface, it's a classic brawler, but underneath is a complex combo system that rivals fighting games. There are tons of branching paths, unlockable costumes, and even different endings based on who you play as. It even has a CRT filter that perfectly recreates the look of a blurry arcade monitor. It's fast, it's frantic, and it's endlessly replayable. If you have any love for the arcade era, don't let this gem pass you by. Close your eyes and remember the feeling of playing Outrun or Top Gear on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Horizon Chase Turbo is pure, unadulterated arcade racing. No realistic physics, no complicated tuning, just speed, nitro, and bright colors. You're racing across the globe with a soundtrack composed by Barry Leach, the legend behind the original Top Gear music. It's incredibly easy to pick up, but surprisingly hard to master as you manage your fuel and weave through traffic. It's the perfect pick-up-and-play game for the Switch. If you need a break from the stress of life, just floor the gas in this one. When a former developer from the legendary studio Cave makes a shmup, you know your thumbs are about to be in a lot of trouble. Rolling Gunner is one of the best bullet hell shooters on the Switch. It's fast, it's gorgeous, and it feels like a high-end arcade cabinet in the palm of your hand. You control a gunner pod that you can rotate to shoot in any direction, creating a unique layer of strategy in the middle of all the chaos. The music is thumping, the screen is filled with glowing bullets, and the satisfaction of clearing a wave is unmatched. If you're a fan of Gradius or Dodonpachi, this is the pinnacle of the genre on Switch.
Welcome to a theme park where the rides are broken and the mascots are trying to kill you. Crow Country is a 2024 masterpiece that perfectly recreates the vibe of 90s survival horror. It uses those chunky, low-poly graphics and fixed camera angles that make it feel like a long-lost PS1 classic. But the puzzles are clever, the atmosphere is dripping with dread, and the story is surprisingly heartfelt. It even has an exploration mode if you want to solve the mysteries without being chased by monsters. If you miss the original Resident Evil or Silent Hill, this is the most authentic throwback you can find. This isn't just a horror game. It's a haunting, psychological descent into a cosmic nightmare. Signalis is a love letter to classic survival horror, but with a sci-fi twist that feels entirely original. The low-poly aesthetic is used to create some of the most striking visuals on the Switch. You'll manage a tiny inventory, solve cryptic puzzles, and try to survive against terrifying creatures in a world that feels cold and hopeless. But it's the story, a tragic, beautiful tale of love and memory that will stick with you long after the credits roll. Put on your headphones, turn out the lights, and prepare for an experience you'll never forget. Meet Detective McQueen. He's tired, he's underpaid, and he's the only thing standing between you and a ghost in a library. The Darkside Detective is a point-and-click adventure with chunky pixel art and some of the funniest writing on the eShop. Each case is a bite-sized mystery filled with supernatural weirdness and pop culture references. It's not about difficult puzzles or pixel hunting. It's about the vibe, the jokes, and the charming relationship between McQueen and his sidekick, Dooley. It's the perfect game to play in bed to unwind. If you miss the LucasArts classics but want something a bit more modern and relaxed, this is your guy. Sometimes the most beautiful things are also the most heartbreaking. Inmost is an atmospheric puzzle platformer that tells 3 interconnected stories. The pixel art is breathtaking, using a dark, teal-heavy color palette and incredible lighting to create a world that feels heavy with sorrow. You'll play as a knight, a man, and a young girl, each with their own way of interacting with the world. It's a game about loss, pain, and hope, told with almost no dialogue. It's short, but it'll leave a permanent mark on your heart. If you want a game that proves pixel art can be high art, this is it.